Woo! Well, hey guys, welcome to the channel. Hope you enjoy the video. Real quick, check out Titan Tungsten website for all your tungsten fishing weight needs. Use discount code VETERANOUTDOORSMAN and you'll get 10% off. Full disclosure, I get a little bit of a kickback on that too. But Veteran Outdoorsman, 10% off. We all know tungsten weights are expensive. Titan Tungsten has the most affordable weights out there. I use them a lot, and 10% off goes a long way, so check those out. Let's talk about modern upgrades to classic firearms. There is a lot of pushback on classic firearms. It's a part of history. It's this, it's that, blah, blah, blah. My opinion is, if it's your gun, do what you want with it. You want to put a synthetic stock on it, you want to drill and tap it for a scope, you want to have it threaded for choke tubes, whatever. I don't know why people get involved in what other people do. It's their firearm. It's what they want to do. As long as it's not immoral, who cares? 20 years ago, Turkish and Yugoslav Mausers were available all over the place. British Enfields, Russian Mosin-Nagant rifles, Chinese and Yugoslav SKSs readily available. And a lot of guys bought them at really cheap prices, and a lot of guys bought them because they couldn't afford a more modern deer rifle, and they did a few things like put a synthetic stock on them, put a scope mount on them. The Mosin-Nagants, you could buy a cantilever style scope mount that came with a new bolt handle. You take it to a gunsmith for $100. They drill and tap the gun to put the scope mount, cut the bolt handle off, drill and tap it, put the turn down bolt handle on it, and you were ready to go. So you buy the gun. The last one I bought was $75. Buy it for $75 for another $150. You had it ready for a scope, put a cheap Simmons or Tasco scope on it. You were ready to go with a fairly accurate deer rifle. I don't know why, but people had a lot of issue with that. But there's options to not permanently alter the gun. And I'm going to talk about that today. A lot of us may have old classic firearms that, due to the type of hunting or shooting we do, or due to the fact that we're old and we have to use these things, they just don't see a lot of use. And I've got an example here. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to show you that it's clear. Put that back on half cock. This is a Winchester Model 97. This thing is about 120 years old. And someone's going to say, oh, you ruined that gun. No, I haven't. This can be, though this gun's been refinished, things like that, before I even bought it, so collector value is not that much to start with. What I've done to it didn't alter the gun whatsoever. This is a no-drill mount by Dr. Pearson, long eye relief mount, a supported cantilever style mount. A lot of guys say it's unsupported. That's not true. It's supported by a dovetail in the middle here and by a set screw here. So it is a supported cantilever mount. Uses the original screw holes in the gun and the original dovetail. And if you have a gun that doesn't have a standard dovetail location, you tell them what it is and they can make the gun work for you. Made out of aluminum, but all you had to do was knock the rear side out, take this screw out here of the receiver and install this mount, long eye relief mount. Something else I did before I did this to help out my old eyes was install this Tang style receiver sight, or Tang style peep sight, sorry. And that did help quite a bit, but I still wanted the scope. As far as the Winchester 94 went, I didn't have a whole lot of options for scoping. I could have holes drilled and put a side mount where the scope is actually off to the side. I didn't want that, so because it's not centered over the barrel. So I went with this. Put this Vortex long eye relief crossfire 2. I believe it's a 2-7. Yeah, 2-7 by 32. Which is a fairly, for whitetails in the woods, that's a good one. This, if you notice the strings wrapped around here, that's just to keep it from rattling. I don't use it anyway because I've got this on here. I just haven't taken it off and put the original screws back in. I may do that at some point. But for now, it's just a placeholder. So I've non-permanently modified this gun by putting this long eye relief scope mount on it. And man, for me, it really helped. I started off with a cheaper 2.5 bar scope on it, but now I've got this 2-7 variable, and it's great. Sure, the field of view isn't quite as good as a standard scope, but it's pretty good. Vortex makes a good product, and it just comes up, it's right there, ready to go. I can zoom it all the way to 7 power. Ready to go. And then I walk a long ways when I hunt. I wanted to sling. Didn't want to drill a hole in the stock, even though this stock's been inlaid with ivory or bone. I'm not sure. It was done probably before I was born. Here and here. Got a piece up here, got a piece here, here. You know, this is an old gun. A lot of people have touched it. But I took that. I found this old muzzleloader sling for a side lock style muzzleloader. Sorry. It just wraps around the barrel, stops sliding here at the stock, and then just slides over and laces up here. You could cut these off. I left them. The fact that they hang around doesn't bother me too much. This is a nice leather sling, and I can carry this gun wherever I want to go. I can even cross carry it, so if I'm dragging an animal out or something like that, I can cross carry it this way because there's plenty of room. I could cut this shorter and punch new holes if I wanted to. It is a little long, but it works. I can even sling over the front, which I tend to do if I'm wearing a backpack and dragging an animal out. Works really well. Those are some modifications that I did to my own personal firearm that are non-permanent modifications. I could return this to factory original, well, as close to factory original as I can get, minus the alters that were made before I wanted, without issue. You can do things like that to older classic guns. Maybe you've got an old Stevens or Savage bolt action that wasn't drilled and tapped for a scope mount. Lots of companies make long eye relief mounts like that for those guns. Older Marlin firearms before the tops of the receiver were drilled and tapped. A lot of them came drilled for receiver sights. A lot of Winchesters did too. This one was before that. It came drilled for a tang sight. Um, just not as good in low light, but perfectly acceptable. So you can put tang sights on them, or receiver sights, no problem. You can install long eye relief scope mounts. You can use this type of a sling for lots of different firearms. You may want to put a piece of cloth or something on it so the leather doesn't rub the bluing off. You could use this type of a sling on an old shotgun that didn't have a uh, sling swivels and whatnot, and you didn't want to alter the gun. You could certainly do that. There's lots of options. I don't think anybody's should have any opinion on what you do to your firearm. So if you want to drill and tap it, things like that, go ahead. But if you don't want to alter your firearm, or you want to be able to do the modifications yourself and you don't have the capability of drilling and tapping and things like that, these non-permanent modifications work really well. Like what I've done to this Model 94 3030, I've made it into my primary woods gun with the long eye relief scope. Works really good for moving targets, for close range. But a 3030 we all know is good out to 200 yards. So it's a good moderate range gun now. This gun is phenomenally accurate. Shooting sub 1 inch groups at 100 yards is not abnormal at all. I actually shot a little bit better off the bench with the Lyman peep sight than I have with the long eye relief scope. I think it's because I'm just not used to the long eye relief scope yet. But printing 1.5 groups with the long eye relief scope is no factor at all. You got an old Mauser, an old SKS, something like that. You don't want to do a lot of permanent modification. I've got an SKS. I bought I don't even know the brand, but I bought a scope mount for it. I did have to make one permanent modification, and that was to grind a detent off the takedown pin. So I did have to do that, but other than that, I could return it to factory original pretty easily. I put a red dot sight on it for my daughter, and she uses it to deer hunt with. You got an old Mauser, an old Mosin Nagant. Lots of companies make peep sights and long eye relief scope mounts that will easily replace the rear sight to non-permanently alter your firearm. Companies such as Mojo, Tech Sight, things like that have those products available. There's lots of things you can do to not alter a collectible or classic firearm if that's something you don't want to do, but still make the gun a little more user-friendly. A lot of us just can't see the old iron sights, and we know that the old iron sights, you have trouble with accuracy compared to a modern scope or even a modern aperture style sight. Apertures are available, ghost ring style sights, etc. Slings like this, a nylon shotgun sling that's made to just wrap over the barrel and wrap over the stock can be used, so you don't have to modify your gun, drill holes in the stock or the magazine cap, things like that. So if you've got a gun that you don't use a lot because you can't see the sights, it doesn't have a sling, etc., and you want to modify it, but you don't want to do it permanently, there's lots of options. I've given you one example here. I've taken this Winchester 1894, 30 Winchester centerfire, or 30-30, and brought it into the 21st century with this long arrow leaf scope, this classic looking leather sling. I didn't do any permanent alterations to this gun. And now I can take it low light, longer range, etc. I can deer hunt all over the lower 48 with this gun without any issue at all. And I have every intention of using it to deer hunt this year here in Missouri. And if I ever make it out west, this will be my backup gun. My 30-06 will be my primary for sure. But this will be my backup gun, depending on what I'm hunting with either 150 or 170 grain loads, whether I'm hunting deer and antelope or elk and moose. This will be my backup gun. And for the smaller animals, deer, antelope, etc., out to 200 yards, no issue. And for elk out to 100, maybe 150 with 170 grain loads won't be a problem either. So, some of the guys aren't going to agree with me on that, but that's fine. Everybody's got their own opinions, their own experiences, etc. Mine says a 30-30 out to 200 yards is no problem at all for deer. Out to 100, no problem for elk. So, and the ballistics back it up, and history backs it up. There've been a lot of bigger stuff than that killed with these things. So there you have it. You want to bring an old gun make it a little more modern, and you don't want to permanently alter it. You got some options right here. Especially if you got 30-30, you can use the exact same things that I did and make a more versatile, more useful gun out of it. Bring it into the 21st century. Well, God bless y'all. I thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Check this out. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos in the near future, and I hope you enjoy them. Check out Titan Tungsten. Get your 10% discount with Veteran Outdoorsman. God bless y'all. We'll see you next time.